Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. Real quickly, I wanted to talk about black people who call other black people racist. I think that is so funny. So funny. I kind of feel sorry for our people when they take that stance against other black people. They call you racist. They call you full of hate and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, do we even live on the same planet? Do we even live on the same planet? For another black person at this stage in the game to call another black person racist for speaking out. It's like, I'm defending you. I am defending you. I'm defending us. Yes, I'm defending us, but you perceive it as racism. I find that very laughable to have someone very laughable to have someone call you racist, a black person call you racist when you speak out against certain things. Now, this is a person who is out of touch, and they believe the Christian narrative of loving everyone, forgiving everyone despite what they do to you. And they wave this banner around, and they feel so proud of themselves when they can say that I was there at one time in terms of just loving people regardless to what they said or did. I remember I just felt like I had to because Christianity told me I needed to, you see. But then I started getting conflicted in myself. And I had a conversation with my husband because it brought me to tears one day. With the constant racism and persecution that we were experiencing, not just us, but just seeing what our people were going through, I was feeling this huge burden in my heart. I'm like, I just don't understand why God, at the time I called him God, I didn't understand why he expected me to love such people. I just didn't understand it. And it really weighed heavy on me. I remember just a number of incidents back to back. So for those of you so-called black people who think I'm racist, listen to some of these incidents that I'm talking about here. And you're calling me racist, but I have many reference points to speak on. I remember when we were buying our house when we were in Michigan, we had a construction loan, and we physically took our payments every month to make the payment. We took it there, okay? And I noticed that the same clerk was there month after month, and she was, very starchy. She never spoke, okay? Their offices were in Oakland County, okay? She never spoke, very rude. And I learned from the first time I went there, I said, okay, I spoke to her and she didn't return the favor. And so I said, okay, whenever I come here, I know the drill. She's not going to speak, so I'm not going to waste my breath. So I would go and I would just give my payment and walk out the door. Okay. And so this woman was, very clearly racist. And so when we were trying to refinance out of our construction loan, what ended up happening was, we have to get a pay history to show that you have payments that are on time or whatever. And so when we call this woman to get our pay history, what she submits was just completely fabricated. Now, whenever we made payments, she put them in the computer. And so I'm thinking she's going to give us a computer-generated statement. What this woman sends us is a handwritten statement. And she shows that we were late on our mortgage payment 11 months in a row. And we only paid on time once. This is what her handwritten statement showed. And I said, this woman is a cotton-picking lie. She is trying to mess us up. That's what came to my mind. I said, she's trying to mess us up because she feels like she has the power and the authority to do this. She's lying. And she's comfortable knowing that she can do this because of the skin she's in. Okay? And so I said, this is something else. This woman trying to mess us up. This hate is so thick in her wicked mind that she's trying to mess us up. And so this came to mind. We made our payments with our checks. And so our bank statement, our canceled checks, showed the date that we made our payments every month. And so we were able to just completely knock down her attempts to mess us up with bank statements and canceled checks that showed the dates that we made our payments. And so for you Black people who think that it's all in our heads, that we need to leave this stuff alone, I'm talking about current day stuff. Okay, that's not it though. I have so many stories. I've said it before, I could write a book. And so it behooves me to even understand why another Black person would call you racist when you talk about racial incidents or racial issues or things that just seem to be ignorance on the part of our people who don't know how to decipher what it is. Okay, another incident that I want to share, to me, this one was a matter of life and death. Now, when we lived in Michigan, in Belleville, we lived on a country road. It was a dirt road. And so when I was pregnant with my daughter, Rebecca, me and my husband, we would walk down the street. Every morning we would go for a long walk. Our block was like a mile long. And so we lived towards one end of the block, not on the very end, but very close to the end. And it may have been a little more than a mile long now that I think of it. But we would take that walk just as exercise. We would walk. And one morning, it was like 6 a.m. So it's not a lot of people up at that time. We're walking and we see a pickup truck. Okay. And as the pickup truck gets closer, I guess they notice us and they jump over to our side of the road because we were keeping to one side of the road. And he is speeding at us so fast. And we noticed that he's not getting over. He's getting closer, but he's not getting over at all. And so we were like, what the heck? And so me and my husband, we had to jump down in a ditch on the side of this road that we live on to keep from getting hit by these no good SOBs. We had to jump down in a ditch. Now, mind you, I'm pregnant. My belly is sticking all the way out. We had to jump in the ditch. So these devils pull over on the side of the road where we are, standing down in the ditch. And they were laughing like hell, looking at us and laughing. Now, I would have hated if they had guns on us. They could have just popped us and kept it moving. And so when I hear ignorant Black people tell us that we're racist, and that's only 2 stories I've shared with you. I could keep on going. I mean, there was another time where this young white teenager hit me in my chest so hard that he knocked the wind out of me. When I say knock the wind out of me, I was gasping for air and I was hurting. I was in so much pain. I was hurting as I was walking across the street to go home. And it was at that time I was still a Christian. I still thought I had to love these people. And I'm looking at what's being done to my people, what's being done to me. I remember being called the N-word, I don't know how many times coming up. Now, some of you have never experienced any of that, so you don't have a reference point. So therefore, you think I'm out of my mind. But these are things that I have experienced. I was there when my brother was called Blackie. I was called the N-word. One of the neighbors down the street from us, when my brother was 12 years old, he was friends with this man's son. My brother and his boys had gotten into it one day. They just got into an argument, nothing physical. But this grown man brought his behind out of the house and he beat my brother up. My brother ran home. He told my stepfather. My stepfather grabbed the gun and he went and confronted this so-and-so. Okay, he was about to pop it off. If my mother wasn't there, that man probably wouldn't be here today. Because my mother went down there and she had to de-escalate things. We were living in the city of Detroit at the time, and we were in an area where it was still predominantly white in that particular part of Detroit. But my mom had to go and literally drag my stepfather home to keep him from killing this man, in which he would have been defending his son. For those of you who don't think that we should, everybody else can defend themselves, but the minute we do, we're wrong. And so, like I said, I can keep going. So when I hear black people call me and other black people racist, I say, I just feel sorry for you. I think you're kind of sick a little bit in your mind, in your head, Stockholm syndrome, delusional a little bit, because you are ignoring obvious things that have happened to our people and the fact that we have a right to talk about these things. You see, now that mindset that I had a long time ago, thinking that I had to love these kind of people, I remember crying over that. Like I started off saying earlier in this video, I was, so distraught because of Christianity. It had me in a stupid place, I was driving down the street one day. I was riding down the street. My husband was driving. And I just started crying. I said, baby, I just don't. And this was kind of early on in our marriage, too, I said, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. He's like, what's wrong, baby? I said, I just don't understand why God, at the time I called him God, I said, I don't understand why he expects us to love these people who hate us like this. I don't understand it. He said, well, the Bible says blah, blah, blah. I said, I understand what the Bible says, but it just don't make sense to me that I'm supposed to love somebody who's hanging our people from the tree and calling us nigger, almost running us off the road, trying to kill us, despise us, do everything they can to try to hurt us. I don't understand why God would require us to love people like that. It doesn't make sense to me. I was crying so hard because I said, I don't want to go to hell over this, but I can't lie no more. I said, I can't lie about this anymore. I don't love these people. That's what I told my husband, Now, when I say these people, there were white people in my life that were good to me, and they were good friends of ours at the time that I'm talking about this. And when I say they were good friends of ours, I mean, they really were good friends of ours. And we were Christians at the time. We had fellowship with black people and white people. So I'm not saying across the board that this is how I felt. When I say those people, I'm talking about those who were acting a certain way. And I'm telling you my mindset back then, because my mindset was, I don't feel I should have to hate these people that are hating me. I didn't feel the same way about all white people, because we had white friends that we really loved. I mean, one I talked about before in the video, whenever we would have children or have babies, he was a real estate agent, and he and his wife, they would come all the way to our house and bring gifts. They were like family. We would have dinner together. I mean, all kinds of things. Okay. So, I'm just telling you what it was like back then, you see. And so when I reference these stories, because a lot of people, I'm not a racist person. First of all, I don't even have it within me to be racist. I don't control anything in this world, and we are not a part of the ruling class at this time. So racism is something that's upheld by people who are a part of the ruling class. People just don't understand racism. But back to my explanation, we had white people that were in our lives that we were very close with, that we loved, that we fellowship with, that would come to dinner. We would go to their homes. I mean, that's the way it was. But I felt, and I did put them in a whole different category than I put those who were trying to hurt my people and trying to hurt me and my family. I put them in a different category. I did, you see. And so that's just to let people know that I am a fair person. I'm a fair person, but it is what it is. There are a lot of wicked, evil, racist people on this planet that are going to have to meet their maker one day, and it will not be in peace. But for you so-called black people who like to call me racist, I had to give that explanation to you because you don't understand my heart. You don't understand my history and things that I have gone through. So it's unfortunate that I have to explain to you that I've had white friends that I've loved and cared for and that have felt the same for us. just to show you that, look, I'm not talking about people who haven't wronged me. You see, it's a shame that I have to explain that to other black people, as if you don't know how to make a separation of what I'm talking about when I talk about what's happening to my people. It is very clear that this country has a racial divide that is increasing. It's not getting better. It is increasing. And for you as a black person not to be able to see that, I find the problem with you. Okay? The problem is not with me. The problem is with you. Okay? And I feel sorry for you. You need to get your eyes open, because it shouldn't take racial incidents that happen to you directly for you to see. I saw this before they started happening, but I guess I can say that for a very long time in my life I've experienced them from the time I was very young. I remember in St. Louis being 4 years old or 3 years old. I was young. I'll just put it to you that way. I remember living in St. Louis, being very, very young, and having an experience with white police. I talked about that before too. Throwing all the little black kids in the police car. And when I was sitting there, my cousin jumped out and ran home. I jumped out and ran home. I said, okay, I'm not sitting in this police car. All because some other kids broke windows out in a schoolyard. They were playing baseball, and one of the balls hit the window and broke. And so they start rounding up all the little black kids. I was one of them. But again, one of my cousins jumped out of the police car, and ran home, and I ran with him. So you see, I had experiences very early on of knowing that things were different. You see, I have always seen this from a very young age. So when I would see these incidents, I would remember them. And it is because of that I can testify of my experience. And I haven't even told you one drop of my experiences with racism. So again, I am not racist to the black people who continue to call me that. I just pray that you get your eyes open. That's all I do. I pray that you get your eyes open and see what is right before you. It's not hidden. It's very, very clear. It's in plain sight. Okay, family, I love you. With that, I will say shalom.